For a little bit over a year now, I've been documenting our family's journey as mom battles dementia as it continues to progress. And the support has just been overwhelming. I see all of your comments sharing about taking care of your own parents, going through a lot of the same fears and triumphs, and overall just sharing so much love. But occasionally, as expected, I do get hurtful comments, and usually I try to pay no attention to them. But recently, as my videos have gotten a lot more reach, there's been an influx of a huge amount of new viewers, and some of these don't know who I am or what I'm trying to do here. And this week, I received a few particularly hurtful comments that all seem to reflect the same energy, all stating that what I'm doing is exploiting mom's illness for the purposes of getting views, somehow milking her illness for personal gain and popularity, and accusing me of destroying mom's dignity by parading her illness and situation. And they couldn't be more wrong. I want more than anything for the world to see my mom the way that I see her, to share the love that she's given me and this love that I can't help but give back to her. And so to be misunderstood in this, it's just extremely hurtful. And reflecting back on it this week, this was not the first time that somebody either inadvertently or maliciously made a judgment call about me where they were completely wrong and only mom understood. Even on the day I was born, mom told me in the past the doctor had told her that I had issues at birth. Because of something that they saw in my mouth, mom told me that the doctor recommended that they snip my tongue, that they needed to cut a piece out of it or else I would grow up not being able to speak properly and I would have a speech impediment. Mom told me years ago that at the time she cried because she didn't want me to grow up with a speech impediment, but she couldn't bear the thought of putting me through the pain of that type of operation. And so she made the decision not to go through with the surgery, telling me that at the time she was heartbroken over the thought of me growing up with a speech impediment, but promising to love me anyway, despite the possibility of a handicap. Thankfully, the doctor was wrong and I developed just fine, but it was really that type of unwavering and unconditional love and support, no matter what others thought, that I would come to experience from mom for the rest of my life. The concerns about me growing up with a speech impediment ended up being ironic because growing up in school, I was always getting in trouble for speaking out of turn and not being able to keep my mouth shut. I distinctly remember always getting into trouble, getting my name written on the board and multiple check marks next to it, having to take home notes and yellow slips to my parents for them to sign, acknowledging that I got in trouble yet again for speaking out of turn. But despite constantly getting into trouble, mom always reassured me, encouraging me to try my best not to speak out of turn and to raise my hand when I had something to say, but at the same time telling me that she understood that my mind was active and I had a lot of interests that I wanted to go pursue and a lot of things that I wanted to learn and expand my mind about. She even wrote me a letter years later on my birthday, thanking me for giving her the experience of being a mom and apologizing for the time she scolded me, saying how often parents don't understand the mind of a child. And so it was always like that. Even when teachers didn't understand and I would always get in trouble, mom would understand and always nurture that curiosity in me. Not being understood by teachers was one thing, but it hurt on a personal level to not be understood by my own peers and people I considered my friends. As I shared in past videos, that transition from elementary school into junior high was particularly rough for me. Moving districts and moving schools during that transition, going to a new school where I knew nobody, it was just really hard and I desperately wanted to make friends and to fit in. And so as I shared before, I desperately tried to reinvent myself so my peers would accept me, even going so far as to change my hair and change my clothes. And it was really mom that understood and supported me in that too, understanding that I wanted to make a change so that I could be accepted by my new friend group. I remember we didn't even know where to go to get clothes that I considered cool. And so she drove me around all over the place, even ending up downtown where we got this green lowrider shirt. I remember proudly wearing it to school the next day, only to be devastated when people told me that the shirt wasn't cool, and then going home and telling mom, and her immediately understanding, and then taking me out again to go buy skater and surfer shirts instead to help me fit in. I even remember a conversation with her about wanting to switch to boxers so I could sag my pants properly after being made fun of for attempting to sag while wearing whitey-tighties. She didn't understand why I would want to wear my pants lower than my waistline and let my butt hang out, and thinking back now, I don't understand why I wanted to do that either. But she understood that there were times and trends and things that I had to do and figure out for myself to try to fit in. And so she never protested or even fought me on it, even on days where I sagged my pants so low that my pants almost fell off. And so despite going out often dressed looking like a hooligan, Mom always supported me and understood that I had to figure things out on my own. Although it hurt not being understood and often not being accepted by my own peers and friends, there was nothing that hurt more than not being understood by my own family. I've already shared this story many times now in previous videos, but it's just so impactful for me. The time where I didn't stand up for my brother and defend him when he was being beaten up by one of my friends.
Later that night, Mom and Dad came home and they saw his injuries. And they demanded to find out what had happened. And I remember when they found out what happened, Dad was furious. He was like, "How could you have let this happen? You were supposed to protect him. You're his brother."
But one thing that I didn't share in that story till now was the misunderstanding that had happened between my dad and I. You see, it was right after my parents saw the injuries that my brother had sustained and had found out that I had done nothing about it. We were all in the same room, my mom holding my brother and my dad furiously yelling at me.
And I remember in that moment feeling so much shame and so much anger at myself for not having done anything that the only thing I could do was weep, turn around, and kick the wall.
I remember the moment that I turned and I kicked the wall. It lit off my dad's anger more than I'd ever seen. And it was understandable. To him, he probably thought that I was lashing out and I was angry at him for scolding me. And so naturally, kicking the wall in that moment made him all the more angry. But I remember so distinctly that it was right in that moment that Mom's still small voice cut into the tension and she said, "He feels shame. He's ashamed that he didn't do anything." It was like a wave of emotion suddenly sweeping over me, releasing all that pent-up anger and shame, and I just suddenly fell to the ground weeping. I had that shame bottled up within me so tightly that the moment that I heard Mom's words and I realized that she understood me, I collapsed with emotion. Finally able to face the shame that I felt, and finally able to accept the responsibility that I had neglected. To be understood in that moment while facing my mistake and having my own father not understand me, it was just an absolutely monumental experience, and it really paved the way to change the relationship that I have with my brother for the rest of our lives. And again, it was always Mom who just knew the true nature of my heart and the true feelings that were behind the facade that I was trying to put up. And so it was always Mom who understood me the most when nobody else did. And so this week, being misunderstood on YouTube hurts a lot because what I would hope would come across in every single video is the immense amount of love that I share with my mom and that she's given to me. Yes, it's true that I want as many people as possible to see these videos because I want people to see my mom the way that I see her. To know about the immense amount of love and sacrifice and the victories and triumphs that she's had in raising us. And so as I kept thinking about these comments this week, I kept asking myself, how would Mom respond to these comments and what would she say? And as I thought about it, I already know what that is. She's always taught me that when we're misunderstood and hurting, that it's in those times that we share and that we're open and we're honest, and that it's specifically in our times of weakness that God is strong. And so I'll continue to share this journey and this love that we share because I know that's what she would have wanted. To bless all of you and be a blessing even in hard times.
我们一起向世界活出爱。